All right, this is Ninth Lit, this is the A class. We are on Act 3, Scene 2, which has already been recorded. It's posted, but you may not be able to find it exactly, so I'm gonna go ahead and record this. This is the scene where, let's see, what is the scene? Yeah, they're talking about the mines, and did somebody remind us, what are they talking about? Mines, what do you mean? Yeah, for what purpose?
And to like make the thing collapse.
Yeah, the old way to do it was have it collapse under its own weight. The new way to do it was to plant charges and set them off. And so they're debating which way to do this. And let's see, we're talking about Fluellen at the top. We probably read this, but Fluellen is Welsh, and he has issues with the way McMorris, who is Irish, is doing the job. And so there's some tension between them, and we'll have to figure out why Shakespeare put that in there.
So how long after this does it take them to make a gun? Because like I feel like if they have gunpowder, and they have explosives, then they have to have like.
What would they call gunpowder if
Yeah.
if it's not, if they don't use it for guns yet?
Well, guns, like artillery pieces are guns, so, and I don't know if they called it gunpowder, that's what we call it, but anything that shoots is a gun.
We could have just called it powder, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the details of that, I think I've looked it up before, but you might have them like prototypes that are developed, but they're not mass produced, so they haven't used them. We know that, well, I don't know, I mean, Revolutionary War, they're muskets, so that's the 1700s, that's 300 years later, so, I know they're developed before that. You remember the Three Musketeers? They're the Musketeers, right? So I don't know exactly, that's during French Revolution maybe, so that's in the 1800s. I don't know, good question, I'd like to know more about that. All right, so Fluellen, who's Fluellen? Okay, good. Gower? Yeah, we need a Gower. I mean, I can start over and all right, thanks. Fluellen, Jamie, he's the Scottish guy. Fluellen Gower, McMorris, he's the Irish guy he has a problem with. Fluellen. All right, good. McMorris, Jamie, okay. Questions, 105, 93, 104. So we are around question 33. Why do you think Shakespeare made the speech of Jamie McMorris so rough and crude or rude? And then 34. Why might Shakespeare have included the discordant conversation between Fluellen, Jamie, and McMorris? So we'll answer those two questions now. You go, Fluellen.
Where do I start?
By Sheshue. I think you read this yesterday.
By Sheshue, he is an ass in the world. I will verify as much in his beard. He has no more directions of the true disciplines of the wars. Look you, of the Roman disciplines, than is a puppy dog.
Remember the two things about Fluellen? Do you remember well, three things, he's Welsh, that's one. Do you remember the other two things that kind of mark him, distinguish him as a character? He has this funny way of talking, we would say, funny, he's talking English, he's Welsh. Shakespeare's trying to give them some sort of, their accent, trying to express that.
So he has
what
a
he-
Welsh accent?
I don't know. I don't know if that's Welsh or not. Remember, Henry didn't talk like that. It shows he's not, and Henry's Welsh, it shows he's not educated. And then the other thing is the true disciplines of war. That's his thing. So he's always a stickler about that. Pretty one-dimensional person. All right, Gower.
Here he comes, and the Scots captain, Captain Jamie, with him.
Captain Jamie is a marvelous, flawless gentleman, that is certain, and of great expedition and knowledge, and is it supposed to be ancient?
He says ancient.
Ancient wars upon my particular knowledge of his directions. By Cheshire he will maintain his argument as well as any military man in the world in the disciplines of the pristine wars of the Romans.
I say good day, Captain Fluellen.
Bow into your worship, good Captain James.
How now, Captain McMorris? Have you quit the mines? Have the pioneers given ore?
Those are the engineers that actually dig the tunnels and plant the charges and all that.
My chairs let Ish all done. The work Ish took over. The trumpet sound the retreat. On my hand I swear my father's soul. The work ish done, the work ish give over. I would have blown up the town, so cherish me. Not in an hour, oh tish all done, tish all done. By my hand, tish all done.
Captain McMorris, I beseech you now, will you save me? Look you a few disputations with you as partly touching for concerning the discords of the war, the Roman wars. In the way of argument, look you in friendly communication, partly to satisfy my opinion, and partly for the satisfaction, look you of my mind, as touching the direction of the military discipline, that is the point.
It shall be very good, good speak, good captain's back, and I shall quit you with good leave as I may take occasion that I shall marry.
It is no time to discourse, so cherish me. The day is hot and the weather the word and the king and the dukes. It is no time to discourse. The town is beset, is that what it is? Besieged. And the trumpet calls us to breach. And we talk to be cherished, do nothing. His shame for all of us. So God, same, his same, shame to stand still. It is shame by my hand, and there is throat to be cut, and works will be done. And there is ish nothing to be done. So cherish me, lad.
By the mess ere these eyes of mine take themselves to slaughter. I'll do good service, or I'll live it, threaten for it. Or go to death, and I'll pay it as valorously as I may, that so I surely do. That is the breadth and the long. Mary, I wad full fain heard some question between you twain.
Captain McMorris, I think, look you, under your correction, there is not many of your nation.
Okay, that's where he gets in trouble, underline that. All of a sudden, he refers to Llewellyn refers to McMorris as an Irishman, like many of your nations. So McMorris is quick-tempered, and he takes that as if, he didn't say anything bad about him, not
It would be
yet.
offensive to him.
He thinks it's going to be. So McMorris jumps in, yeah.
Why do I say ish so much?
He's trying to recreate an accent, Shakespeare is, and all of these people are not well educated, so they speak in an accent and they speak in an uneducated way.
Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Of my nation, what is my nation? Ish a villain and a bastard, and a knave and a rascal. What is my nation? Who talks of my nation?
Well, look you, if you take another, otherwise, that is meant. Captain McMorris, peradventure, I shall think you do not use me with that fallibility as my discretion. You ought to use me, look you, being as good a man as yourself, both in the disciplines of war and in the derivation of my birth and other particulars.
So he's saying, I don't take me the wrong way. I think Llewellyn didn't really mean anything by it. McMorris.
I do not know you, so good a man as myself. So cherish, save me, I will cut off your head.
Gentlemen both, you will mistake each other. Ah, that's a foul fault.
Okay, the parley sounds, which means they're having they need everybody together, all the officers.
The town sounds a party.
Captain McMorris, when there is more better opportunity to be required, look you, I will be so bold as to tell you, I meant the disciplines of war on their end.
So let's do 33 and 34. Why do you think Shakespeare made the speech of Jamie? Well, just your question, the question that Chris had, why does he make their talk so rough and rude and uneducated? Why do you think he does that? What's he trying to recreate?
Like the Irish act, or not.
So that's one of the things, trying to indicate somehow that these three guys are from different countries. England, Wales, and Ireland, and Scotland, actually Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. What about it, they're being so rough and, he says, the question asked, rude?
Like, just kind of showing like their hot temper, or just like speaking out.
Right, they're not well educated. I think Shakespeare's trying to mark them as commoners, who you might expect to hear that kind of language. They're not refined and cultured like the nobles, when they talk to each other, they might, like the tennis ball thing. Remember, Henry was able to speak eloquently in anger. These guys don't know how to do that. They call each other names, and they get right to the point. So all that's possibly true. And then 34, why might they have included the discordant conversation? Why the fact that they're arguing with each other? Why is that in here? What's Shakespeare trying to tell us with that? Remember, what do you think? Remember, these are different.
He's kind of
countries.
like, maybe we realize like the Welshes and the Scots don't
I
like
was
each
gonna
other.
say, yeah,
That's
it's
it.
taking a hit at the, or it's trying to say like the Scots, the Welsh and the Irishmen
Yeah.
are like more uncouth.
That's right, and they don't like each other. Why they don't like each other, that's hard to say. Why does any group of people dislike other groups of people? There's prejudice involved, there's,
Cultural pride.
yeah, there's pride, absolutely pride. So they just kinda, they're naturally adversarial to each other. And that says something about Henry, that Henry was able to cobble this group together from people who don't really like each other and are not natural allies. He managed to bring them together to fight for one cause. So I think that says something positively about Henry as a leader, which is gonna be a major question that you have. Okay, so Henry is in front of the city and he is trying to talk them into a peace treaty. He wants to negotiate. He didn't wanna fight, he wants to negotiate. I've been hearing that maybe that Vladimir Putin is perhaps ready to negotiate a peace, because he's lost a lot of men, he's lost a lot of prestige, it's taking too long, it doesn't look good for him, you know, these bombing raids on hospitals and schools and shooting refugees, unarmed refugees, that doesn't make him look very good. Why does he care? Because he has to live in the world and do business with these other countries. So he may be at a point where we've been praying that there would be peace in Ukraine. So he may be praying that that would happen. Reagan, you all right? All right, so Henry, listen to Henry. Henry?
Yes, oh, I'm sorry. How yet resolves the governor of this
Okay,
town?
he's talking to, it says the men of Harfleur, but that includes the governor. He's trying to talk them in. This is a parlay. This happens in Dante, by the way. There's this parlay between the demons and Virgil and Dante before the city of Dis, which is in hell. So they use the very same word, parlay. So he's having a, let's talk this thing out.
And that's like the French word, like parlay.
It is, and if you put mint on the end of it, what do you got? You got parlay mint,
So
which
like
is,
it's to like speak or talk.
yeah, and it's what they do in Parliament. You know, the British have a Parliament, the Canadians have a Parliament, and it's just a name for a place where people talk things out. They do a lot more than that, but that's part of it. So Henry's gonna try to talk them into quitting.
How yet resolves the governor of this town? This is the latest parlay we will admit. Therefore, to our best mercy, give yourselves, or like to men proud of destruction, defy us to our worst. For as I am a soldier, the name that in my thoughts becomes me best. If I begin the battery once again, I will not leave the half-achieved Harfleur, till in her ashes she lie buried. The gates of mercy shall be all shut up, and the fleshed soldiers, rough and hard of heart, in liberty of bloody hand shall range, with conscience wide as hell, mowing like grass your fresh fair virgins and your flowering infants. What is it then to me of impious war, arrayed in flames like to the prince of fiends, do with his smirched complexion all fell feats, in linked to waste and desolation? What isn't to me when you yourselves are cause, if your pure maidens fall into the hand of hot and forcing violation? What brain can hold licentious wickedness when down the hill he holds his fierce career? We may as bootless spend our vain command upon the enraged soldiers in their spoil, as sent precepts to the Leviathan to come ashore. Therefore, you men of Harfleur, take pity of your town and of your people, whilst yet my soldiers are in my command, whilst yet the cool and temperature wind of grace overblows the filthy and contagious clouds of petty murder, spoil, and villainy. If not, why in a moment look to see the blind and bloody soldier with foul hand, desire the locks of your shrill shrieking daughters, and your fathers taken by the silver beards, and their most reverend heads dashed to the walls, your naked infants spitted upon spikes, while the mad mothers with their howls confused do break the clouds, as did the wives of Jewry at Herod's bloody hunting slaughtermen. What say you? Will you yield and this avoid, or guilty in defense be thus destroyed?
All right, I know some people I
Is he kind
cannot
of
ask
threatening
to
them?
answer this question. What?
Is he threatening them?
Yeah, he's threatening them with that. Write that word down.
Wait, so
Right, it's
Henry is
atrocity.
threatening the,
People of Harfleur with that word right there. What is an atrocity?
Like something bad? Or like,
That's very, very bad. It's a very cruel act. And you wanna go get some water or something like that? I'm having to spend more time waking you up than I am teaching. All right. So anyway, atrocities, what are they? They're very cruel acts of violence. Cruel acts of violence. It's what the Holocaust was, an atrocity. It's what's happening, you could say it's happening in Russia right now or Ukraine. They're atrocities. He's threatening atrocities. And particularly, any details about that? Those of you that were listening, reading? Yeah, well, let's see what Becca's got.
Well, it was like, I saw something about like their children,
Yeah,
their infants,
yes. Well,
somewhere in there.
he threatens the most vulnerable part of the population, the
Right.
infants, the old people, and the women.
Yeah.
He says, if we have to fight our way into your city, I'm not gonna be able to hold my men back. They will come and they will kill the babies, they will kill the old men, and they will, of course, kill the women, and so he's threatening them.
Like the most like defenseless,
Yeah,
like they have
yeah.
nothing to, they can't.
Right, it's one thing to kill soldiers in battle, but that's another level.
there was a reference to that in the Bible
Yes, what are you thinking?
with Herod, like when they went around, like killing all the firstborn.
Absolutely. The Egyptians did that.
Yeah.
When Moses, Herod did that. So it's that's an atrocity. All right, so he's threatening atrocities, and then the governor responds. Anybody want to be the governor? How about John Carter or Reagan? What do you want to do? May help you stay awake. Reagan, why don't you read it? The governor on page 99.
Our expectation has been staying in the dolphin, whom of succors be intruded, returns us that his powers are yet not ready to raise so great a siege. Therefore, great King, we yield our town and lives to thy soft mercy. Enter our gates, dispose of us and ours, for we no longer are defensible.
Open your gates. Come, Uncle Exeter. Go you and enter Harfleur. There remain and fortify it and strongly against the French. Use mercy to them, all for us, dear uncle. The winter coming on and sickness growing upon our soldiers, we will retire to Calais. Tonight in Harfleur will be your guest. Tomorrow for the march we are addressed.
All right, so look at question number 35, and it addresses the threats that he makes against Harfleur. It says, however, during the speech, he placed his responsibility of this burden on the men of the town. What does reveal about his leadership style? What is the fact that he threatens atrocities, does this change your opinion of him? Is he a bad guy now, or is he just realistic and necessary? This is what you do if you're
So wait,
fighting?
is he threatening atrocities
Yeah.
on the men or the?
The women and the children,
Okay,
yes.
so not the men.
I mean,
No, they're children, these men's children, and these men's fathers, and these men's wives, so.
I don't know, I think that's a little cruel and like.
Yeah, of course, yeah, it's an atrocity. So what does that make you think about Henry?
He's not a great leader and.
Okay, would anybody argue otherwise?
I think he's just doing the, like he's saying this, like calling a bluff, like to like, impose fear. Well, I don't think he actually will go through.
Well, what if he actually did go through? Is that, can anybody still make a case that, listen, if you're gonna fight, somebody said if you're gonna strike the king, you must kill him, somebody said that. If you're gonna fight a war, you must win it. You know, what are the rules? I think we said yesterday, all's fair in love and war.
I know, but it just seems like there's some lines that we've drawn throughout history where it's like, this is a little too much. And I feel like just mass slaughtering of women and children and old people would just be like crossing that line where
Okay.
it's just like inhumane and, well, war is inhumane, but it's just kind
Okay.
of like crossing that like
All right.
boundary line of respecting at least the other side.
Okay,
So-
Becca.
well, you were saying like earlier how, he was able to take the different people, like from Ireland and
Yes.
Scotland, like to all fight together, which makes, like, that means he's a good leader. But this kinda shows how he doesn't kinda have that, like, he doesn't care if he has to go in and kill all the innocent, which shows like a bad part on him.
All right.
And like Hug was saying, like, it's not about killing those innocent people, it's about conquering the land. It's not really, like, you might have to kill people along the way, but that's why they were like soldiers.
Right, and so let's say that there is no defense for him committing atrocities. Does that change your opinion of him as a person, as a character, as a leader? I mean, this is always overused, but there truly is no one perfect. Even David, even he killed other people in war. Can you accept Henry as one of those kinds of people, like a human being with flaws and with virtues? And
Sure.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of what Shakespeare is challenging us to do, is say, your heroes, maybe they're not all as great as you think they are. You have to live with that. One thing you haven't mentioned, because we're just beginning to see it. What does this tell you? It goes back to kind of what Alex said about his bluffing, if that's what he's doing.
Oh, like threatening.
He's a good
Right.
military leader.
That would
like,
make him good, but it would also make him good with his words particularly. In other words, he's very
and smarts,
articulate.
like, and just like thinking through.
Right.
Using his brain rather than his brawn.
That's right.
kind of.
He's clever, he's smart, he'll use his words to achieve things. Maybe you have to threaten it and not follow through, but we never know, because the governor capitulates. It doesn't ask you this question, but, why is the reason he capitulates? I mean, because he got threatened, but he gives a specific reason why he's not gonna keep fighting. What is it? You see it? Look at it. He says, "The Dauphin, whom succors we entreated, returns us that his powers are not yet ready to raise so great a siege. Therefore, great king, we yield our town and our lives to thy soft mercy." So he was counting on the Dauphin to come rescue them. And remember earlier in the play, the king, his father, said, "You need to get the cities ready defend the cities against Henry." Apparently, he didn't do such a good job, because he's not ready to do that. So to me, it's one of the first things you see about the Dauphin. He's a big talker, but he doesn't follow through. He hasn't done a very good job protecting Harfleur. Maybe he's more talk than action. And so they surrender. And notice the first thing Henry says to Exeter, who seems to be the commander, right underneath Henry: "Use mercy to them all for us." Now, what's his reason for wanting to show mercy to the French? What's the reason why Henry doesn't want Bardolph, and we gotten there yet? Not yet, I don't wanna, yeah. What is the reason he doesn't want his men, you don't know this yet, but it's true, he doesn't want his men to mistreat the English people. He doesn't want to do that, because why?
Because they're, wait,
That's
who
like-
are we talking
We're
about?
talking about Henry, why would Henry not want to
Because they're his
mistreat the
people.
French
Yeah,
people?
that's
Oh,
like-
the French people.
Oh, French.
Because he wants to rule over them, or like he.
Oh, they want him to
Yeah.
like him.
He has some kind of affection
Right.
for them.
I mean,
as a people, as a
Right,
body.
exactly.
like
It'd be a
he-
lot easier to be king of France if they like you, or if they don't have something against you. All right, so he mentions it, this is question number 36. I've tried to figure out something complicated here, and I think it's real simple. What device in the last two lines does he use to bring this scene to an end? The last two lines,
Is
look
it
at
a
it.
rhyme? 'Cause I heard
We
there
called
was
it,
one, but-
well, it's called a heroic couplet or rhyme
Tonight,
couplet.
Tonight, Harper will be our guest.
Tomorrow for the march are we addressed?
So there's your rhyme couplet. So Henry, remember he said the play is written in what kind of verse? What kind of language? Like, it's poetry, right? But what do we call the type of poetry he uses? You
Oh,
remember?
I know,
Ooh, the pattern one, it's like the.
Yeah.
is it
A
something?
little touch of
Iambic.
Mary in the night.
Iambic.
Iambic pentameter,
Carrollton?
well, he uses
I
that too,
thought
but
iambic
the verse would be
pentameter was
called.
only some of it.
But the majority of it, because we know that the commoners don't speak in iambic pentameter, so 80%, 75%, whatever you want to say, it's iambic pentameter, but it doesn't rhyme, and I gave you a name for that. You know what that's called?
Oh.
Yes,
There's something.
it's like unrhymed or blank verse.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's unrhymed iambic pentameter. Next year you'll read a lot of, some of, portions of Paradise Lost by Milton. It is written in blank verse. So it's particularly useful for the longer poems, the epic poems in English literature. Blank verse. All right, so anyway, here is a rhymed couplet. It kind of brings it to an end. When you hear that, it kind of like it puts an exclamation point. So I think that's the literary device. It connects the sound with the action. It's over. Enough said. Fini! Exclamation point. All right, I need two ladies.
Are we gonna read the French?
No. Could you?
I mean,
I could.
try to give it a shot.
I need two ladies. I got 2,
I can
4,
do it.
right, to choose from. Or
Can
you
I
can
read
pick.
one?
No, we're gonna let the ladies do it. You wanna be who? There are two people, Catherine.
I'll be Alice.
Yeah, just let her.
Okay, you be Alice. Who are these people? Catherine is the daughter of the King of France, and Alice is, you are the nanny, the governess, whatever you wanna call it.
Okay.
All right, this scene,
Just happened to be.
this scene lies in contrast to what we just heard. Right, the threatening of the atrocities, Henry, rough and ready, Henry.
Oh, so we read on the left this
We're gonna read the left-hand side of the page, it's all in English.
Oh, I thought we were reading the first part. I was like, that's so fun.
I know you're disappointed, but we can read the English. All right, so Catherine and Alice, tell me what this tells us. Tell me, what does this tell us about anything? I mean, this is significant. Why is this scene here? What does it add to the play? What's it in contrast to? So we'll start with Catherine and Alice. Catherine's young, real young, and Alice is probably older. All right, Catherine.
Alice, you are in England and you speak the language well.
A little, madame.
I beg you, teach me. I must learn to speak. What do you call la main in English?
La main, it is called
The hand. And les doy,
Dois.
doites?
Why don't Chris just read it, por
Les
favor?
dois. My faith, I forget. Les dois.
How do you pronounce it, Chris?
What?
What?
The one that's like Ledoy?
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
just that, we just don't really pronounce the T.
Le doy.
Le dois.
Doy?
Ledoy.
Okay. Alice?
I'm sorry. Le dois. My faith, I forget le dois, but I will remember le dois. I think they are called the fingers. Yes, the fingers.
La main, the hand, les doy, les fingers. I think I am a good good student. I have quickly mastered 2 words of English. What do you call les
Anglais, probably.
Anglais?
The Anglais, we call them the nails.
Des nails. Listen, tell me if I speak well. Des hand, des fingers, and des nails.
But you notice it's not the fingers, it's the
Fingers.
fingers.
Oh.
Okay, that's important. That's important that she
Does it pronounce it?
mispronounce it.
right.
Alright, so we'll keep
I
going.
didn't,
Alex?
I'm sorry, I wasn't saying that to you, I wasn't saying that.
That's well said, madam. It is very good English.
Is it?
No.
It's not. Now, what are you gonna say if you work for the king's daughter?
You're like, oh yeah, you're doing great.
You're the greatest, yeah. Alright,
Okay.
Catherine.
Tell me the English for les bras
The arm, madam.
and les côtes,
The elbow.
the elbow. I will repeat all the words that you have taught me so far.
It is too difficult, madam.
Excuse me, Alice. Listen. De hand, de fingre, de nails, de arme, de bilbo.
The elbow, madam.
Oh Lord God, I forgot it. De elbow. Oh, sorry. What do you call les côtes?
The neck, madam.
De
The net. But she said-
Okay, is this, comedic relief, or?
Yeah. Yeah.
My brother did French.
Alright, keep
Okay.
going.
de neck. And les manteaux,
The chin.
de sin. Les côtes, de neck, les manteaux, de sin.
Yes, saving your honor. With all due respect and truth, you pronounce the words as correctly as the natives of England.
Does she?
No.
I have no doubt about learning it by the grace of God and in little time.
Haven't you already forgotten what I have taught you?
No, I will recite promptly to you. De hand, de fingre, de malice,
The nails, madam.
de nails, de arme, de elbow.
With all due respect, the elbow.
That's what I say. De elbow, de neck, and de sin. What do you call les paillades and la robe? Robe.
The fit, madam, and the count.
Or a gown.
Yeah, the count.
Les foot and les count. Oh Lord God, they are ill-sounding words, corrupt, foul, and lewd, and not for ladies of honor to use. I would not pronounce these words in front of the lords of France, for the whole world. Foul, oh. Les foot and les count. Nevertheless, I will recite one more time the whole of my lesson. De hand, de fingre, de nails, de arme, de elbow, de neck, de sin, de foot, les count.
Excellent, madam.
What is sin?
It's chin.
Chin.
Oh.
That is enough for one time. Let's go to dinner.
Alright, so why do you think she's talking about learning England?
She's gonna go to England.
Because, yeah, her father's already offered her to Henry. In what different ways does this scene contrast with the previous scene where Henry was using his not eloquence, but he was using his language strategically, and all that was going on there? How do these two scenes contrast?
They're
Yeah.
just like talking about like body parts, and he's talking about like killing children.
Yeah, good.
Well, and one was describing his eloquence of speech, and it's very ironic that she can barely speak like 5 words of the English language.
Right, she's gonna marry this guy?
Right.
Anything else contrast? What would you call her? How would you describe her at this point?
Rather sassy.
Giddy, spoiled,
She's like, I
privileged?
can do it. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
I can do everything.
And how would you describe Henry?
Very like.
He's educated.
Independent,
World,
educated.
worldly,
Yeah.
a combat soldier and war. I mean, this is the odd couple if there ever was one. He probably has her out, age-wise. He's probably a lot older than her. So, but it does give you that comic relief and that contrast. All right, we've run out of time, but let's look at the questions.
May I use the bathroom?
Yeah, we're not quite finished, guys, they'll pack it up yet. Okay, so, how does Shakespeare employ humor through the dialogue in scene 4? We just said it,
Isn't it comedic relief?
comedic relief. So, yeah, comedic relief, okay, so that's one thing. And we just got a minute here. And remember contrast. It creates a contrast with the previous scene. Examining conversation between the French king, well, we're not there yet. We can't answer this. So we've answered through 37. I was just looking at, next week's the last week. I do need to, if you want credit for it, a couple of you don't have credit for the vocabulary we did last. I'm talking about the definition. And most of you, at least half of you, haven't shown me the Peace Child Review. And so if you want credit for that, you're gonna have to take care of that next week. Everything else, I think we've covered it. We got 2 people need to take the quiz, and
Did we get our pre-sub tests back today?
nope,
Did we get those back?
I haven't even started them. What?
Did we get those back today?
Not yet, because I have 2 people who hadn't taken it. That's recorded, so that's in the books. So make sure that you get that to me next week, so we can take care of that before the end of the week. Please get some sleep this weekend, and we'll see you next week. Yeah.
Is there any time today that I could take the